Hi, I'm Gavin Glitzman. You're watching Sun Boxing, and joining me is unbeaten middleweight Anthony Ogogo. Anthony, looking back to last month, Greg O'Neill, 6-round points victory. How did that feel?
I thought it was a really good fight. I thought it was a perfect fight at the perfect stage of my career. You know, he was tough, he was game, he was a decent amateur. I don't think I've watched it back a couple of times. I don't think he was really given the credit which he deserved, because as an amateur he boxed for England. He'd won a couple of national titles as well. So you don't do that if you're not a half decent boxer. And so I think that was a good opponent for me to have. He was strong, he was game. He really came to win. He could punch a bit as well. So no, that was a good opponent to have. And like everything I spoke to before, Gav, everything at the minute it's about being exposed in fights enough, not enough so you get beat, but enough where you go back to the gym on the Monday and you've got extra things to work on. Because if you're just blowing people away round after early every single fight, you're going to get really good knocking people out. But when something happens which you're not expected to happen, you could come unstuck. And I'm hopefully I'm getting the experience in my fights now where I'm kind of learning things, going back to the gym. I picked up 2 or 3 different things from that fight, and I've worked on them meticulously since. And I'm just really looking forward to fighting in my next fight, where I can hopefully implement them and go on from strength to strength.
You mentioned your next fight. It's been confirmed it's going to be in Las Vegas, May the 3rd, Floyd Mayweather undercard. Yeah. That must be just absolutely amazing for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's why I joined Golden Boy from the get-go, because I sat in this office and spoke to Richard Schaefer, and he told me the plans he wanted to have for me, and he really it didn't take that much ear-bending, to be honest, because everything he said is exactly what I want to achieve out of boxing. And he said, first couple of years, Floyd's got a couple of years left, we'll get you on the boxing on the biggest stages. I've just come from the Olympic Games, where the Olympic Games were the biggest stage of the amateur calendar, so we get you back on the biggest stages. Floyd Mayweather undercards, and I just that's a bit of me, Las Vegas. Big, sexy show, like all the razzmatazz. Boxing's a hard game, as you know, but it's a hard, tough game. A game which I love, but it's a tough, hard game. You put your body through the mill all the time, and waking up early, training hard, blood, sweat and tears. And the nice, big, sexy shows like the Vegas shows and the razzmatazz, that's your reward, in my opinion. That's why I wake up early and put my body through the graft and do the round after round after round of hard sparring. That's why I do it, so I can go and not just box on these shows, but hopefully excel, and perform well on these shows. So, but yeah, Vegas, May 3rd. I can't wait. It's going to be great also because Amir Khan is fighting on the card, so even more British eyes are going to be watching the entire card because his name on it. He's such a big name in world boxing. And obviously, the greatest boxer of our generation, Floyd Mayweather, is topping the bill. And I'm sure he's going to look spectacular in beating Marcos Maidana. And just to be there, and it's the small things I'm looking forward to. Is like being around Vegas. I've never been to Vegas before, and even little things like jumping on the scales, the same scales that Floyd Mayweather's been on 10 minutes before, and being in the same ring he's going to box in. These little things where I can just kind of take little bits of confidence from, and ultimately, sit and watch him up close from the front row. And just learn from, like I said, the greatest boxer of our generation. I can't wait.
Will you be trying to grab Floyd for a few words of advice before or afterwards?
Yeah, I think I'd be a fool not to. I think I'd be an absolute fool not to. I think, like I said, he's the best at the minute. And if I can just take a tiny thing from him, I'm going to leave Vegas a better boxer than the boxer that went there. And that's what's the plan at the minute. Every time I fight, I want to come back a better boxer with that much more experience, that much more ability, that much more just everything really. So he's someone I definitely would grab hold of and have a chat to. And the links that we've got with Golden Boy, they're really good. So I'm sure they can kind of get me in there, and hopefully if I can watch one of his sessions would be unbelievable as well.
What do you think it is that makes Floyd so good?
I think he's just obviously you've got natural ability. He's got it in abundance. His speed, his reflexes. There's some things in life you can train, and there's some things that you can't train. There's some things in life if you've got, you can carry on training and make them better. And I think that's what he's got. His coordination in hand speed and reflexes. Obviously, a lot of them are God-given, but he hasn't just left it and thought, I've got good hand speed. I'm just going to leave it. he's worked at it and he's perfected it. And I think he just understands boxing. He grew up with boxing. He doesn't know any. Well, I don't know. I'm sure he's a clever guy outside the business sense, but he just gets boxing. He grew up with it. So I think he just understands it. He knows how it works, and inside the ring and outside the ring. And he's just honed his craft. And he's got better and better, and arguably better as the years have gone on. He's got more experience and he's used his experience. He's just so good. Obviously, his last fight against Canelo Alvarez, and we all know how good Alvarez is. He made Alvarez look like a decent sparring partner, and to do that to somebody who is so good that takes some doing. So I think he is brilliant. He's worked hard, and his dedication and his hard work and dedication, which is his mantra. He's perfected that. And I've read somewhere recently he's been a pro for 18 years, and for 17 of those years he's been a world champion. That in itself, you need to have everything, to be a world champion, to become a world champion, let them to stay there at the top for your entire career. It just speaks volumes of the man he is.
Obviously, many people expected Amir Khan to be fighting Floyd on this show. It didn't happen. Amir's now on the undercard, as you've said. Will they get in the same ring and actually go toe to toe?
I hope so. As a boxing fan, I hope so. As a British boxing fan, I hope so, because obviously Amir's British, and I think, to be fair to Amir, like him or not, he's got a lot of fans, but a lot of detractors as well. He brings excitement. Even like when he boxed his last fight, when I made my debut up in Sheffield, when he boxed Julio Diaz, that was a great fight. That was a cracking fight to watch, because he should have won the fight more comfortable, but he didn't, because he got clipped a few times, and he stood there and he traded, because he's got a massive heart, and that's just great. That's great. I can't remember him being in a boring fight, and that's great for British boxing. And the other thing you can say about Floyd Mayweather, although he's so good, he's that good, he sometimes makes fights a bit boring because he is that good. And I think Amir Khan, of his speed and his power, I think he'd kind of bring a more nasty side of Mayweather out. And because Mayweather, obviously, being the perfectionist that he is, he doesn't score many top-level knockouts because he thinks more about obviously not getting hit in his speed and movement. It's more of an art to him. Whereas with someone like Amir Khan, I think he thinks he can knock him out. So I think you'd see a more aggressive Mayweather. You're going to get Amir Khan, you're going to get an aggressive boxer in Amir Khan. So I think it's going to be a good fight. Whether it goes 12 rounds, I don't know, but for the fight it does last, I think it'd be a lot more excitement in that fight than there would be in him versus Maidana. But obviously that's just my opinion, and hopefully Mayweather wins, which I'm sure he will do. Hopefully Khan wins against Collazo on May 3rd, and they can do it maybe in September. And hopefully I can box well enough in May that I'll get the nod to find the undercard of that one as well.